Howdy, y'all. Joe Hills here, recording as I always do in Nashville, Tennessee. And today on the Hermitcraft server, I'm going to start working on some of this little structure here. As you can see, part of our timeline, we have 1776, July 4th, Declaration of Independence. Now, Independence Day was most famously popularized by the Will Smith film of the same name. But you may know it better for, the aliens. Because people, they enjoy Will Smith in movies, but if there's one thing they enjoy more than Will Smith, it is watching Will Smith fight aliens. That's why I like on the Men in Black films, they always show a lot of aliens in the trailer. People eat that up. It is just right in their scooped mouths of spoon happenings. So, anyway, howdy, Biffa. Yeah, it's Biffa. Anyway, what I wanted to talk about, if you guys like aliens, and you'd better, because Quentin Tarantino was amazing in it. No, I'm just kidding. Quentin Tarantino was not in Aliens. Now, I'm building this building from memory because it's hard for me to have something set up while I'm playing. But okay, so we've got the front here, and then I think that there's like a tower in the front, and the back part kind of descends a little. We're gonna go ahead and have one more tier, maybe, of... No, we don't have enough bricks for one more tier. Okay, so we're gonna start with just stone stairs. So, where was I? Aliens, Sigourney Weaver, Quentin Tarantino's most famous film, just kidding, haha. We are going to set up the clock tower atop here, and one movie or book series, for those of you who actually like reading, that features aliens in a particularly interesting light, well, not really aliens, but like what humanity might yet become, is Dune, by Frank Herbert. And Dune's interesting. It talks about a lot of interesting ecological and sociological issues. But one of the parts that jumps out at me the most... I'm going to be out of bricks here, aren't I? Whoa. Now I'm inside of here. Precisely as I had planned all along. Haha. You've seen through my ruse. No, just kidding. That would have been a terrible ruse. Who does that? Okay, so Dune has what's known as the Butlerian Jihad, which... is essentially this war that happened a long time ago in the setting of the story, where people got into a big fight with robots. And Frank Herbert never really tells us exactly what happened during this crazy event, but we know it was a pretty big deal. And a lot of people were hurt, a lot of people died. In fact, it was such a big deal that the society made a rule that from now on, no one would ever be allowed to build any sort of machine that thought in the likeness of a man again. Like, that was a commandment of their society. And I thought that was kind of interesting because what if other science fiction had similar commandments? And now, the Butlerian Jihad was interesting in particular because it allowed Frank Herbert to avoid the question of, like, what will computers look like in the future? Because he knew when he was writing the story, like, oh, computers, they're going to be a thing. But then he was like, oh, good, now I don't have to worry about them being a thing. Good writing, Frank Herbert. Yay me. So, and then I noticed other science fiction does something similar. Like, for example, in Star Trek, they've got essentially a massive ban on genetic manipulation. You're not allowed to be a genetically engineered human. That's bad. You'll be like Khan, played by Benedict Arnold, or Benedict Cumberbatch, or whoever, that traitor. Or like Khan, played by somebody else a long time ago. This is a very well-researched episode. Not only have I forgotten what this building looks like, but wow, I'm pretty sure that's not it. I don't even know the name of the guy who played Older Khan. Make sure to put that in the comments, guys. Post that in the comments. And this is not better at all. Okay, well, either way, I think that this... Independence Hall. There. Done. Next problem. Let's go ahead and clear some more of the path ahead. So, what other science fiction kind of prohibitions are there in the future? Like, one thing that I realized might be interesting, if we were to, like, look at how... in things like Minority Report, they show how humans have reached this point where, like, advertising is everywhere and it's inescapable and terrible and blah, blah, blah. It's supposed to be terrifying, but we don't we don't get. Oh, dang it! I can't craft while I'm on a horse. We don't get to see the counter in a lot of science fiction. What is the story of a society where all advertising is banned forever? What if you can never advertise anything ever again? Um, and that's kind of an interesting premise, but where I'm really going with this is what if you had a story, well, or you could have a story, it's not what if you had. You could, oh, this horse is still tied up. I'm good at Minecraft. Don't let my terrible ability to, or inability to do anything fool you. I'm great at, whoa, dang it. Now the horse is tied to me. And now it's nighttime. Now the horse is tied to me. Okay. Okay, so... okay, the horse is now tied. Why is this so hard? Okay, put the leash away. Select something else. Get on the horse. Oh, now it's dark out. And we didn't light this building thing. So we're going to have to torch the top of this, I'm thinking. Not like set it aflame. But what if there was a science fiction setting where you had a complete and utter ban on all records about humans? The opposite of this piracy, or not piracy, privacy. Those two words sound similar, not the same. You know what also looks similar? Everything in my inventory. Why am I so bad at this? Let's go ahead and actually begin kind of lighting around here, just in anticipation that this little research center, welcome center, might be the future home of me while I work on this massive trail project here. Yay, lots of torches. Torches everywhere. Yay, torches for you, and for you. You get a torch, and you get a torch. Back to the premise. What if no one was allowed to keep records on anyone? What would that society look like? Now, in Herbert's Dune, in their society where they're not allowed to have computers, they actually have people whose whole job it is to be trained to do like mental math and all sorts of complex statistics and reasoning things. Essentially the same sort of logical tasks that computers are currently assigned to do. And those people are called Mentats, and that's like a whole job. It's just your job to do that. And, you know, you could theoretically, if you were banned from keeping any sort of written records of people, you could have like somebody who's the equivalent of the giver of memories, except instead of remembering like what sailboats look like, or how music sounds, or what colors are, his job could be to remember like who's supposed to, you know, work later on tonight. And so every factory and office and whatnot would just have like the HR guy would have to memorize everyone's things. Like the human resources guy's whole job is just memorization to some degree, or some element of human resources. Maybe that's not like the chief guy's job. They'd have like a decider and a rememberer. Remember. Also, okay, I've been thinking about this a lot lately. Is there something where a guy sings betrayal? I don't think that's an actual song or the refrain to a song, but it's in my memory somehow. And I think it's related to in Scrubs when Zach Braff's character, I don't know, let's just say Frank Costello, it says, wouldn't it be awesome if I had an operatic singer to sing mistake every time I made a mistake so I'd know? But yeah, betrayal. I don't know what that's from. It's been in my head a lot. Anyway, so you have a rememberer and a decider in this post-record keeping society. And I think it's fun to do little thought experiments like that, to imagine what if some element... Okay, well, they say the definition of science fiction. By they, I mean this guy that I went to college with, Ben Quigley, who was probably quoting someone else. Hi, Ben, if you're listening. You were credited in a Joe Hills show. That's the acme of amazingness. Science fiction is essentially reality if you change one or two details or rules and then offset it by a few years. And you don't always have to offset it by a few years. Like Stargate is contemporary science fiction. It takes place now, or actually now it takes place a few years ago. Thanks for not making more Stargate, everyone. Good job on that. So I did an okay job of lighting this up. Anyway, so where were we? Science fiction. Yes. So if that one thing being different was like, what if we just removed something that's everywhere today? Like, what's something that you see everywhere? Like, Oh, what if there were no newspapers? Well, oh wait, that's not science fiction anymore. Look out your window. I'm kidding. A lot of good people work in newspapers, and I'm saying that with a really sarcastic voice, but that part actually is true, and I am gonna feel a jerk when any one of them complain to me later. Sorry, Patrick and others. Okay, lots of name dropping in this episode. I don't know what's wrong with me. Probably I don't know, the pressure of running around at night and not looking at the Enderman. Okay, great. So, where were we? We were name dropping, we were flip flopping, chart topping, never stopping. Okay, torch dropping. Where's my horse clopping? Anyway, where were we? Hip hopping. That's it, yes, hip hopping. So, we're just dropping torches along our history trail here to increase the number of not deaths that I will experience as I continue to work on it. And that one's a creeper. And of course, my bow and arrow is here. No, that's just my bow, not my arrow. Have at the... Oh, should not keep running towards him. I thought that one was going to kill him. Anyway, yes. So, like, what else is... what would a society be like if you weren't allowed to have locks? Probably pretty terrible. There'd be a lot of crime if locks were literally against the law. And you would probably end up with a taboo against reporting crime, because the only way that you would have no locks in your society is if you ostensibly obliterated crime, but then it would just be terrible because you wouldn't have really. Okay, what else do people have a lot of? They have roofs and doors. Those are things that are not as interesting to explore not being there. Okay. Let's run backwards, let's run forwards. Like, for example, you can actually look back through history, and there are examples of like things like usury, which is collecting interest on loans, was illegal in some civilizations, societies, and in some countries it still is illegal today. So that's kind of an interesting example. Like, I kind of like the idea that commandments, or, whoa, instead of eating, I just threw, every part of that was not what I wanted to do. Why am I on fire now? Do you get on fire if you throw too many ender pearls? Is that like friction from the air from like teleporting too many times? Okay, you're dead, and I'm fire. Okay, you're a spade. Dead. Dead. Okay. We are... come on, guys. There we go. So, where was I? Science fiction, getting golden pants, usury. Oh, commandments. I kind of like the idea that the reason for holy proclamations should be, not always is, but should be, that in the long run, there's some sort of importance to avoiding, like, whatever the problem is. It's not just like, oh, you shouldn't gamble because, oh, God, I'm really bad at not eating when I'm trying to throw ender pearls, or the opposite of that, whatever the opposite of that is. I think you just saw it. Okay, that guy can't be knocked back because of the backstop. I hate it when the enemies use backstops against me. Yes. Commandments, rules, proclamations. It's interesting to consider what if any given rule is created because of some sort of unknowable long-term problem. Now, for example, in the usury thing, compound interest is pretty terrible, and on a long enough timeline, could eat the sun. So, don't feed it any solar energy. But let's look at some other, like, prohibitions. Like, well, gambling. It's like, why would you prohibit gambling? Some people get addicted to it and then ruin their lives. Like, there's psychological reasons that gambling is activating the brain in certain ways, and physiological reasons is probably the term I should have used. But gambling, for certain people, can be really bad. So if you outlaw it as a society, well, then those people don't get hurt. Which, I'm not saying you should outlaw it as a society, but I kind of see the argument, like, I get where it's coming from. But then, you look at things like, don't eat shellfish or cloven-hooved animals. And you're like, well, what's so bad about shellfish or cloven-hooved animals? But that's the wrong question, gentle reader, fair viewer, fair weather friender. No, the real gentle viewer question... whoa, that was a little bit... explosive. It was expisively explosive at Taco Bell. Yeah. No, we're not doing that. Okay. The real question you should be asking is what's so great about shellfish and cloven-hooved animals? Have you considered that maybe the first aliens that we will encounter as a, what do you call it? As a species? Oh, baby. Okay. What if the first alien species that we are set to encounter, because they are the nearest to our planet, not because anyone had, like, let's say that somebody had knowledge of star maps, and they knew the nearest society that could encounter ours was made up of cloven-hooved shellfish people that were a combination of meat and milk together. And so this person said, like, oh, well, let's make a rule that you can't eat those things because it will make the aliens uncomfortable when we meet them if we eat what looks like them all the time. You know, maybe the shellfish aliens have a rule that says don't eat monkeys or mammals, you know? There's also a rule against eating fish that don't have scales, which is pretty much just dolphins. So there might be also, you know, this whole like, okay, well, maybe dolphins are people from another planet and we've been killing them. Probably not, but you could write a really good story about that. I once had this idea for a story that was about, like, dolphins and their natural enemies, which were vampires, because, well, you think about it, dolphins are mammals, and so they do have what's known as blood, vampires' favorite food. But the thing is, and they do live in eternal darkness beneath the waves. No, just kidding, they have to come up for air. But they could if they didn't have to come up for air. This is a story. You can do whatever you want. What if dolphins and vampires were complete and utter enemies? What if they were mortal enemies or immortal enemies, huh? Well, then you'd feel terrible for eating dolphin, despite the, you know, rules against it in the Torah. Probably, because who else is going to fight the vampires? You? Well, I don't think this episode's going to get much weirder, and the horse is not doing a great job of running without the server lagging. So, until next time, y'all, this is Joe Hills from Nashville. Why am I switching to radio voice? The following program may be disturbing for some audiences or hilarious for some others. Well, until next time, y'all, this is Joe Hills from Nashville, Tennessee. Keep adventuring.